Hello, hello. So this is Rob, the owner of Brutal Iron Gym. I wanted to actually make a video to show how I get workouts in when I have, in my opinion, no time to actually do them. So sometimes running the business and living life, as anybody who's busy in life understands, things get kind of bumped around and maybe you only have 10-15 minutes. And this is an example of what I do with the 10 or 15 minutes that I have from time to time. So I'm going to carry this around and kind of show you guys the workout. So I just wanted to do some quick upper back and shoulders, and we'll see if it kind of grows from there. So come on with me. Okay, so you'll see here I'm actually going to walk over to our ski erg, and that's actually where I'm starting. So like I said in the intro, I wanted to do upper back and shoulders was the original intention. So I know starting out with a ski erg and doing it in the manner that you'll see here, where I'm doing reverse flies, is a great way to warm up kind of the shoulders and the upper back muscles. So when my hands are coming together, I'm actually letting my shoulder blades stretch. And that allows me to kind of open up the lower traps, the rhomboids, a lot of the stuff in the mid-back, the thoracic spine. And then as I'm pulling back, I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together, also contracting my rear delts. So this is really good for just getting blood flow in the shoulder joints, in between the shoulder blades, pretty much everywhere in the upper back. So typically what I'll do is I'll do these reverse flies for about a minute. Sometimes that changes, but usually it's around a minute. And then you'll see here at the minute mark, I'll be supersetting it with a form of like a kind of like a face pull or a very high row. And I like that because it helps just kind of target the shoulders even more. So this is a lot of mid-back and some good blood flow into the shoulders with some good rear delt development. And then the next movement is kind of flipping that around where I focus more on rear delts and less on the mid-back. So you'll see here I'm switching hands and I'm kind of figuring out exactly how I want to pull it. Now that my shoulders were kind of pumped up, I had to find the right feel. But you can see that this is now a lot of rear delts, and by having my thumbs point towards me when I do a face pull, that actually hits more rear delt. If you have your thumbs point away like you're doing an overhanded grip, that hits more inner traps like lower traps. So it just kind of depends on which area you want to focus on. If you want to focus on your lower traps, hands overhand. If you want to focus on rear delts, then you do the reverse hand. That's a good way to start getting a burn in the shoulders and upper back. And I like it because it helps kind of warm up the shoulder joint. So now we'll do some heavy lateral raises. Okay, so now that I had kind of a good blood flow introduction to the upper back and shoulders, I now wanted to kind of warm them up with a loaded movement. So you'll see here I'm kind of doing a lightweight, but I'm just doing a few reps. So I'm doing 5 reps, and then I kind of move up in weight, 5 reps, move up in weight, 5 reps, move up in weight. So it's just a fast way to get through some warm-ups. So rather than doing a set of 10 and then hanging around and waiting for like 10 seconds or 30 seconds for a real rest, I just do minimal reps to get the feel of the weight and get the movement correct in terms of finalizing or fine-tuning my technique. So this is a great way to kind of jam your warm-ups into your working sets, is just cut the reps of the warm-up sets down so you can then cut the rest period down. And you'll see here I'm kind of working up to something heavy, and I'm really just kind of playing this workout by ear. I generally will do this when I have short time frames where I'll go into the workout thinking of things I want to do, but not necessarily predetermining sets or reps. I just go by feel. A little bit of a run the rack technique. Get again some blood flowing and kind of get into it a little bit. So I definitely get winded because I'm fat and out of shape, but doing circuits of this stuff helps kind of keep you busy. So I'm just going to do some, I think, some straight arm pull downs here. Get some movement. So now I basically go into more kind of blood flow work for the shoulders and the back, but I didn't want it to be so dang direct because my shoulders were pumping up and my upper back was pumping up. So straight arm pull down still uses your shoulder joint, and it uses your lat muscles, which are the muscles kind of your back, but they're along the sides of you, so they connect under your armpits to kind of pull your upper arm down to the body. So I'm using this exercise to indirectly keep blood flow in the upper back and shoulders. So I'm going to do this again for about a minute, and then I'll go into some tricep press downs. And that definitely pulls the blood away from the back and out of the shoulders and more into the elbows. But I like kind of doing extra repetition work for my elbow joints because it helps just keep them kind of healthier in general, especially since I still like including heavy bench press or some type of bench press into my workouts twice a week. So I kind of usually focus my training around a combination of powerlifting, so where I'll do squat, bench, and deadlift. And then I also like to do kind of mass building, bodybuilding stuff. So my goal is to be as big and as strong as I can be, but not give up, bigness for the strong or not give up strong for the big. So I kind of just want to be big and strong and pretty good at both of those. So since I do a lot of volume plus heavy weight, my joints have risk of being annoyed. So getting high blood flow, kind of restorative efforts is really important. So like that, it wasn't necessarily shoulders or upper back specific, but it helps kind of keep some blood flowing, keeps me breathing hard. So a little bit of therapy and blood flow through the shoulder and elbow joint never hurts. I'll get a better angle here for you guys. So just some more raises. Okay, so now I go back to the raises, but I want to start a little heavier. So now that I already had like the muscular warm-up, so I'm going to start heavier, just get some more reps in. And at this point, I'm definitely getting some muscle damage just due to the overall blood flow and volume in the shoulder. So this is just an insane amount of work for a short period of time. So the phrasing for that is metabolic damage. So you can get muscles to grow by having heavy weight and shearing force. So I'll show you guys that piece of equipment. You'll see me moving around here. And then I'll do some presses on it, just give me some extra volume work on shoulder. So as I was saying, you can build muscles by shearing force. So the weight you put on them just being incredibly heavy and it tears them apart. Or you can do what's referred to as metabolic damage, which is where you just create an enormous volume of workload. And the annoyance into the muscles of having to work through that volume creates muscular stress. That muscular stress can then result in muscular growth. So that's the idea of metabolic versus shear force. Metabolic allows you to still get growth, but it's not so heavy, so it's not as damaging to the joints. However, you still need the shearing heavy forces to be strong. So it's trying to find a balance between what's heavy enough to keep you strong, but what's not too heavy all the time that it beats you up and kills your joints. So I decided to pair an overhead press because the frequency of going back and forth between the side raises and the rear flies was too frequent that I would have had to needed a rest, and I didn't want to rest and do nothing. So I figured I'd throw in some overhead presses. So when I was younger in football, I tore both my shoulders, a bunch of stuff. I popped both of them out of socket and did a lot of therapy on them. I don't really know what I all tore. It was a bunch of stuff, so I don't overhead press often. As are like overhead press front shoulder. So we'll do some more reverse flies. Make that a rear delt on the ski erg. Put some heavy lateral raises to be our middle delt. Put all that together and we should have pretty complete kind of like shoulder effort. So get that squared up. There we go. There we go. Okay. So I was saying I don't overhead press often because of those injuries, and when I do, I usually try to keep it lighter, just kind of working on positioning and blood flow. So I can overhead press a decent amount, but I don't do it too often because it just kind of puts a lot of strain on the shoulders, and typically the day after doing it I have a hard time putting on a t-shirt and whatnot. So I've gotten immensely healthier in my shoulders. So from when the injury first happened, I couldn't pick my arms over my head for a good couple months. Then eventually when I could, I felt horrible stabbing pain. So since then I've gotten to the point now where I can move full range of motion, no pain at all. So since I don't do a sport that requires an overhead press, and I don't really require it in my regular life, I don't do it more than just kind of what's needed to maintain it. So, and by not very strong, I mean I can still overhead press, high 200s, low 300s, so it's adequate. It's plenty enough. So I went back to the reverse flies, And again, the idea of this is just to continue the blood flow and kind of irritate those rear delt muscles, the upper back muscles, and that again contributes to kind of that metabolic damage effect. So I had to take a little bit of pauses there. Shoulder was burning like crazy. So let's come back to some raises. Okay, so here I am going back to some raises, and the goal of this is now to try to get something heavy in for the workout. So I'm using the 40s, and that's a pretty heavy raise for most people. So I did 5 of that. It was plenty enough, heavy enough for me. So I went into 5 of the 35s, I think then the 30s, then the 25s. And again, this is a nice way for me to mix in high volume, but still heavy weight by only using sets of 5s. So too often people are stuck with like sets of 10s or 15s or 20s, and then they wonder how they can mix in high volume but still heavy weight. Well, just bring down the reps to the sets, and then you do more sets. So that allows you to still lift heavy, but then not have to sacrifice volume for that heaviness. So this is a technique I've used on many different body parts, and it helps a lot in terms of trying to get the heaviness on the joint while trying to minimize joint stress. So I like it for therapy as well as growth. Oh, that's pretty good. So like 11 minutes and 40-some seconds right now. So, let's see if we can go. Okay, so again, back to the overheads. Each of these arms is only about like 30 or so pounds, so it's not that hard in terms of heaviness, but it's pretty miserable after all the other stuff I've been doing. And you can see there as I'm trying to work on my upper back being nice and stable and pressing overhead without lifting my shoulder joint. So this is very good therapy and overall positioning. See if we can squeeze out a little bit more. It's at a 15-minute window. So the goal is to see if we can be active for 15 minutes straight without having a heart attack. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I think this will be my last round now, because I'm huffing and puffing. I can't even raise my arm to grab the daggum handles. But worked out well. So overall, I was happy with this workout. I was able to squeeze it in between meetings with clients and kind of other like life odds and ends. So I'll take this. Now, hopefully the next time I have like a shoulder and upper back workout, you can see there I'm dying and taking mini breaks. But hopefully the next time I do an upper back and shoulder workout, I'll be able to kind of, give a fuller effort to it, a good 40 to 60-minute workout. But these workouts are absolutely better than nothing. So if all you have is 5 minutes, just give a hardcore, all out 5 minutes, and that's better than 0 minutes. So one of my favorite books is How to Be an Imperfectionist by Stephen Guise, Guise, and it teaches that concept among many others is, if you can't be perfect, don't just give up on it. Get in what you can, 10, 15, 20, 30% of something is better than 0%. So I always want to try to get in something every day as much as I can, and sometimes this is what it looks like. Okay, one more set of the raises, maybe one more set of presses, and then I think we're good. Happily miserable. So, okay, there we go. Yeah, so at this point I'm pretty much dead, but just trying to do something for the camera. So, but again, you'll hear me talk at the end of the workout real quick that if you want to do something like this, if you only have like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, doing circuits of exercises is great to save time, but don't do circuits under really light, fluffy weight. Do stuff that's actually still heavy enough to cause muscle damage and muscle stress. So get the cardiovascular effect, which you can clearly see I'm getting in this exercise circuit. Get the cardiovascular effect, but still get strength development, still get muscle size development. Make sure you don't give up on your other goals just because you feel like you're short of time and you have to move 1,000,000 miles an hour. so you can move fast while still doing heavy muscle damaging things. So I like doing circuits of complementary muscles, so things that are related to each other if I have a very short period of time, so that way I can kill them fast. If I have a little bit of a longer period of time, I'll do contrasting muscles or muscles that are unrelated. And I'll explain that more in a second.
Let's finish up with some presses.
So what that would look like is doing like push and pull. So maybe you do a press with a pull-up or a row, or you can do like bis and tris. You can even just throw in body parts that are unrelated completely. So I've done like a chest workout with calf raises in between. So you can also throw in abs, you can throw in really anything. Just trying to use your wrist
That was
tolerance.
a 15-minute workout. So this is the fun stuff I get to do. And I don't schedule my time as wisely for my own needs. But this is showing an example of, even if things can't be perfect, even if you don't have a ton of time, you're still going to get something in. So you can use this workout if you actually wanted to. It'd be pretty insane in terms of like sporadicness, and I don't even count the reps. But use this concept, try to do a circuit of things. You can do a circuit of things that are complementary, like I did, all shoulders, or you can do things that are kind of counter to each other, so push, pull, biceps, triceps. You can even just do something where you do chest and calves, things that are unrelated. So do a circuit, set a timer, whether it's 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, whatever, and just try to stay busy. Good cardio, as you can tell, because I can't breathe, but give it a try, and I'll share some podcasts with this video that'll help kind of figure out what to do when you don't have as much time, but you don't want to give up any of your results. Okay, thank you. Hopefully this was interesting. Thank you for watching. Bye.